Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk about RVs. No, not that kind of RV. No. I'm talking like the Honda kind of RV, like HRV, CRV and ZRV. Don't worry, we're not going camping. I wouldn't do that to you. No, instead, I've come to this abandoned and slightly terrifying national parkland to talk you through Honda's range of SUVs. Now, all three cars behind me share similar lettering. They were all recently updated, and to the untrained eye, they kind of look a little bit similar. So what's the difference? And if you're trying to narrow down which Honda SUV is right for your needs, your family, your lifestyle, how do you do that? So that's why I'm here. Today I'm going to talk you through interior dimensions, exterior dimensions, powertrains, fuel economy, warranty, servicing, everything you need to know about these three cars to help you narrow down to the right vehicle for you. So we've got not much time and three cars to get through. Let's get into it. First of all, let's talk pricing. If you want a bargain, the HRV is the cheapest of Honda's SUV lineup, starting just under $35,000 and landing just over $40,000. The ZRV sits in the middle, kicking off just under $40,000 and going up over $55,000. And finally, the CRV is the most expensive of the bunch, kicking off from just under $45,000 and extending up over $60,000. And if you are looking at buying one of these three cars, head to Drive Marketplace where you can find stock of your chosen model near you. Now, as we know, purchase price isn't everything, although it is important, and you want to know your ownership costs going in. So the good news is that no matter which Honda SUV you choose, you're going to have very similar servicing costs, and that's because Honda has capped the price of the first 5 service visits at $199 per visit. Intervals are set every 12 months or 10,000 kilometers, but that's the most you're going to pay. So that's whether you buy hybrid or petrol, whether you buy CRV, HRV, ZRV, it's all the same. And Honda offers a 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty on all its new cars. So which one of these is going to be the hardest to park? Well, if you're a bad parker, unfortunately I've got bad news for you. All three of them will be a challenge. But no, in all seriousness, in case it wasn't immediately obvious, the CRV is the big boy of the bunch. It's the longest, widest, and tallest of the cars, and it also offers the most ground clearance and the biggest wheelbase, so you're going to have a lot more interior space in this car. Your next step down here is the ZRV, which is actually only marginally smaller than the CRV, although it does have the least ground clearance of the three cars, so that's worth noting if you like doing a bit of adventure-friendly driving. And finally, we have our HRV, which is the compact SUV of the bunch. So it will be the easiest to park, but it will also offer you the least interior space. Now, for someone who's not particularly detail-oriented like myself, these cars do look pretty similar, but I would say the big difference here is, apart from the size, the grille. So let's talk about the grills, shall we? The grille on the CRV, to me, it's giving honeycomb, it's giving beehive. Over here, the grille on the ZRV, it kind of looks like one of the grills they have over the stormwater drains. And then on the HRV, this grille is giving George Foreman grill. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. And do you like grills? Do you grill at home? If you do grill, what do you grill? Again, let me know in the comments. All three Honda SUVs offer the choice of a petrol engine or a petrol hybrid powertrain. All three use a continuously variable transmission on petrol models or a dedicated electric continuously variable transmission on hybrid models. The ZRV and CRV have more powerful turbocharged petrol engines and a bigger engine in their hybrid system, while the HRV offers a non-turbocharged petrol engine or a smaller hybrid powertrain. Only the CRV offers all-wheel drive, while the ZRV and HRV are front-wheel drive only. All right, I'm in the front seat of the Honda ZRV. The variant we have today that we're shooting with is the top spec hybrid. So it has got all the bells and whistles, so keep that in mind. You've got this floating center console with a bit of storage down here, 2 cup holders, a wireless phone charger. The CRV, ZRV and HRV all get the same size infotainment screen. and it's standard with wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. The higher grades of the ZR-V and the CR-V get satellite navigation, whereas the satellite navigation is standard from the base grade of the HR-V. So a little bit of a value factor there. Beautiful honeycomb grille style across here, which we like to see. Feels a little bit premium, but not too super high end. Also, the ZR-V has this unusual gear shifter, which is kind of a mixture of buttons and levers. You'll see on the other cars that they use something slightly different. But yeah, comfortable, a little bit premium, but not too high-end, practical. Now we're in the back seat of the ZR-V. I've whacked my child seat in here just to show you that it can be done. It's not fitted properly, but just to give you an idea of space, there's enough of a middle seat here to accommodate an adult for a short period of time. There are 2 ISOFIX equipped seats in the ZR-V, but so I can keep talking, you can actually see me. I'm gonna get this out. So as you can see, this is a really nicely proportioned back seat. It's not huge, but they've done a really good job of maximizing space. The floor here is actually pretty flat, so there's heaps of leg room, knee room, toe room. I feel really good. I'm 178 centimeters, in case you're wondering. You've got a little bit of headroom to play with. Any taller than me and you might be hitting the roof, but other than that, it's pretty spacious. It's a nice, comfortable place to be. All right, I'm in the front seat now of the HR-V. This spec grade is the Hybrid X variant, which is a mid-spec hybrid variant. So it's not quite as zhuzhy as the other cars. It's not the top spec, but it's still lovely in here. You've got these fabric seats with the leather look combo, a couple of cup holders, no wireless phone charger here, but you've got 2 really good storage trays for your phone. Unlike in the ZR-V, you've got a traditional gear shifter, which personally I tend to prefer. I really like that. Same 9-inch touchscreen. You've got a same digital driver's display as you've got in the ZR-V. A couple of cup holders in the doors. These seats are also comfortable. They're not as comfortable as the ZR-V. There's a little less bolstering. They're a bit more flat. In terms of space, I'm going to fiddle with the steering wheel a little bit here if I can, but you've got a little bit of customization, but not a whole heap. Seats are manually adjustable, so this is the value pick of the bunch. You get a few less premium features than you would on the higher grade cars and on the larger cars, but it's still a nicely appointed cabin. I feel like I've got a fair bit of elbow room and a good amount of headroom for a small SUV. All right, I'm in the back seat of the Honda HR-V and I've whacked my child seat in here once again just to show you that it can be done. Because the HR-V lacks a center seat belt and top tether point, you can only install a child seat in the 2 outboard positions. I'm going to take this child seat out now and show you the magic seats. Now, magic seats. What's so magic about some seats, I can hear you asking. This is one of Honda's trademarks. They do this really well, and it's to maximize space and boot space and storage space in a smaller car. Now, what's magic about these seats is that they can be made into 18 different combinations to allow for taller cargo items, more boot space, more seating, more legroom, the rest. I'm going to show you how. It's really easy. If you want to fold the seats, there's a little lever on the back here. They fold in a 60-40 configuration. You can see that's down now, but if you want to lift them from the base, it's actually really light. You can pull them back like that. And there you go. Now, if you want to put a pot plant here or something large, you've got that extra space and you can still have a passenger here. Now, this is a little bit more of a basic back seat, but it's not terrible. Unlike the other cars, it doesn't have air vents for your rear seat occupants or USB chargers and things like that, but it's got a fair bit of room for a small car. So I'll sit right back. You want to put the headrest up so you kind of have a bit more comfy space. Got really quite a fair bit of toe room, good amount of knee room with the seat in my regular driving position. Again, headroom's probably where you're a little bit compromised if you're taller, but I'm okay. And I feel like you've got some nice storage spots as well. Not super massive door bins, just a couple of cup holders. But other than that, again, for a small SUV, it's doing quite a good job of making the most of the back seat. And this right here is the front seat of the Honda CR-V. So the spec we're in for this shoot is the top spec Hybrid RS. So this is around $60,000 worth of car. So of course it's going to be the most kitted out. It's also unquestionably the most spacious car of the bunch. You've got this big expansive sunroof, which is letting lots of light into the cabin. It's a really nice wide dash. I've got a nice wide center console, heaps of elbow room, even though I just hit my elbow on the door, but I feel like there's a lot more space, a lot more head clearance. It's a lot lighter and brighter. You've still got that same 9-inch touchscreen and a very similar digital driver display as well. You've got plenty of storage options throughout the cabin. It's not particularly, much more capacious than the ZR-V, but it is kind of a broader, wider cabin, a wireless phone charger down here. Again, you've got a traditional gear stick as opposed to the ZR-V, which has the buttons and the levers, and I prefer this one, as I mentioned before. Big door bins, lots of space. It's a nice, comfy place to be. The seats, they're kind of in between the ZR-V and the HR-V. HR-V is less bolstering, kind of flat but comfy. ZR-V is super comfy. This is comfy. It's nice. There's electric adjustment. It's pretty great. I'm pretty at home in this front seat, I've got to say. All right, the back seat of the Honda CR-V. Now, this is where you want to be if you have kids and lots of people to carry. It's super spacious. As you can see, I've got the child seat in here. This car can take 3 child seats at once with 3 top tethers and 2 ISOFIX equipped seats. Now, I'll take this one out and I'll talk you through the rest of the back seat. All right, you can probably already tell from the shot, but this is the biggest of the back seats. No surprises there. Headroom still isn't massive. I've got to say, it's probably one of the shortcomings of the 3 Honda SUVs. I'm fine. As I said, I'm 178 centimeters tall, but anyone taller might be bumping the roof, particularly this side. It kind of impedes upon your roof space a little bit here. However, really beautifully flat floor for all occupants. So they've done a really good job. I usually only see a floor this flat in electric cars. So they've done a nice job of that, particularly in the CR-V and the ZR-V. Got a couple of USB-C ports down here, couple of air vents as well. All cars have a fold-down armrest with cup holders. That's really handy. One thing I will say that I don't love is that the seatbelt for the middle occupant is roof mounted. So I don't know why, I just always feel like they're a little less practical or helpful, and it takes a few more clicks to get it in. As you can see, I'm already screwing it up on camera. But it's, it's there, so that's all that matters. And of course you can opt for a 3rd row on the CR-V too. So if you have even more people to seat, there is that 3rd row option. This car doesn't have it. It's a 5-seater, but you do have a mid-spec 7-seat option, or 2 of them in fact. Now, let's talk about safety. You may be aware that all 3 of these cars we've got here today have a 4 out of 5 star rating for ANCAP safety assessment. Now, that may sound a little bit scary. I'll try and talk you through it. Basically, it's a little bit of a technicality. It's to do with the fact that we carry over the European NCAP scoring into Australia, and the Australian delivered cars don't get the full Honda 360 sensing safety suite that you do overseas. Basically what that means is just these cars all have a few less sensors and cameras and things like that than their overseas counterparts. Having said that, all 3 of these cars have a pretty solid level of safety tech from the base grade. So no matter which variety of Honda CR-V, ZR-V or HR-V you buy, you'll get things like active cruise control, front and rear sensors, a reverse camera, you'll get lane keep assist. Some of the lower grades on some of the cars miss out on things like blind spot monitoring and a rear cross traffic alert, but for the most part, you'll have everything you need in terms of active safety kit. So that's fantastic. Boot space. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it is something that is very important to me. If boot space is one of your #1 criteria when looking for a new car, let us know by liking this video. Now, let's talk about boots when it comes to the Honda SUV range. I'm going to start by talking about the smallest boot, the Honda HR-V. This is the boot of the Honda HR-V. It's the smallest boot in the range at 304 litres of cargo space. But what I can say is, seeing them all side by side like this, it has the lowest boot floor. So there's a slight lip as you're loading and unloading items, but it does mean you have a little bit more height to play with, and it's not too bad. It's a nice flat boot floor, and it's a fairly wide space. If you lift up the floor here, there's also a nice pocket of underfloor storage for things you want to hide away, cords, cables, laptops, valuables, things like that. Other than that, it's a pretty simple, straightforward boot. You've got this nice removable fabric cargo cover, and it's compact and probably in line with what you'd expect from a small SUV. All right, moving on to the ZR-V, which has the middle amount of boot space in this bunch. Obviously, no surprises there. It's got 380 litres on the petrol models, and that drops to 370 litres on the hybrid models. So that's not a huge amount, actually, for a medium SUV, I will say. But to the naked eye, it looks fine. It's a slightly higher boot floor, so it's flush with the boot lip here. You do also, much like the HR-V, have some underfloor storage here as well. You've also got a 12-volt outlet and a couple of storage hooks, and this hard removable cargo cover / parcel shelf there. Yeah, again, it's not a massive boot, I will say. I think you could probably get a little bit more space by moving to the CR-V, but let's find out, shall we, by heading over to the CR-V. Now, the biggest of all three boots is the Honda CR-V. If you want maximum boot space, opt for a full petrol 5-seat model because that offers you 589 litres to play with. It drops, of course, to 581 litres if you opt for a hybrid, and in the 7-seat models, it's a little bit less as well. It's more around the 480, 470 mark. So I will say it's a really nice deep boot. It's got height on its side as well, and width under the floor here. There's a small pocket of storage, but not a huge amount. And you've got a 12-volt outlet as well, much like the ZR-V. You've got this removable, retractable cargo cover, which is a little bit fancier than the things offered on the other two cars. And it's got a power tailgate as well on this grade. So definitely the most well-equipped boot of the bunch. One more important thing to talk about, spare wheels. If you're a regular road tripper, you want to know if you have one. If you want a full-size spare wheel, you've got to opt for a 5-seat petrol-powered CR-V. The hybrid variant of all of these cars gets a tyre repair kit. The 7-seat CR-V gets a space saver. As standard, the ZR-V has a space saver across the range except for the hybrids. And finally, the HR-V gets a tyre repair kit across the range. So if you want your full-size spare, you've got to get it here. With its smaller engine, the HR-V is the most frugal car of the bunch, with a fuel use claim of 6.2 litres per 100 kilometres for the petrol engine and just 4.3 litres per 100 kilometres for the hybrid powertrain. Meanwhile, all-wheel drive variants of the CR-V will use the most fuel, with around 7.5 litres per 100 kilometres of fuel consumption. Also, if you need to tow, it's worth noting only the CR-V and ZR-V can tow, and the HR-V is not rated for towing. Hybrid ZR-V and CR-V variants also have a lower tow limit than their respective petrol equivalents. Now, if you want to get a little bit more into the details of these three cars and the nitty-gritty, we've got plenty of in-depth video reviews on all individual Honda SUVs already live and coming soon. So to make sure you don't miss any of them, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video review goes live. Now, if you've been playing along at home, you'll know by now that all three of these RVs actually have a fair bit in common. They all offer a hybrid powertrain, they all have a similar level of standard equipment from the base grade, and they all come with seriously affordable cap price servicing. So, what's the difference? Well, if you want the option of a third row, all-wheel drive, a slightly bigger engine, and of course a bigger interior with a nice sizable boot, you should definitely go for the Honda CR-V. If you like a bit of style with your substance and you want a punchy yet frugal hybrid powertrain with a slightly smaller footprint, you should go for the ZR-V. And finally, if value is the name of the game, you want an affordable entry price with a frugal hybrid powertrain and a nice, small, city-friendly footprint, you should go for the HR-V. I hope this has helped you narrow down the right Honda SUV for you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time. Now, if you're interested in hybrid medium SUVs, chances are you're also looking at the Nissan X-Trail and the Toyota RAV4. If you wanted to see how those two compare, we've got the perfect video for you right here.